Hi there, my name is Kathleen, and this is my second attempt to start a podcast. Here I am again. I am recording myself because I feel I have a lot to say. Not only because I've been through quite a lot, but also because, well, my voice likes talking, so. That's kind of interesting because let me introduce myself. I am Kathleen. I'm almost 34. I say it again. I started preparing for this one, so I wrote down a little bit of, like a little bit of a structure. I wrote down 34, but it's the opposite. I'm 43 almost. That's funny. Well, yes, I'm almost 43 years old. I was born in Belgium. And let me start there because that's the beginning of my life. And I will go roughly through my path until this moment. So I was born in Belgium in the Flemish part where we speak Dutch, where Dutch is the main language, uh, which is the same language as the official language, which is the same official language they have in the Netherlands. And even though we have maybe some certain expressions that are different, and especially pronunciation is different, we understand each other completely. Like it's the same language, the same dictionary. So, I grew up in a very special family situation. Well, maybe not so special because everybody has a special family situation in a way. But mine was maybe kind of different. I grew up with a single mom who struggled on different aspects of life. Absolutely, like, don't we all? But she also gave her best to me and my older sister. I have one older sister. And our dad wasn't around because he was in prison almost 37 years of my life. I got pregnant when I was a few months before I turned 15. My son is now 27 years old and he chooses not to be in contact with me at the moment. And a few years ago, when I was 36, I was traveling to Sweden for uh, for a holiday to visit friends. And I stayed. And I decided to move to Sweden when I was 37. And in week 37 of the year, which wasn't planned in advance, but it just turned out that way. Week 37 of that year, I drove with my car from Belgium with the last stuff that I was gonna bring in my new life, into my Swedish life. At week 37, which is insane. And so now I'm living in Sweden for almost 7 years. In April, it will be 7 years. We are almost entering Christmas season now. So yeah, it's almost 7 years, which is insane. But yeah, so I mentioned a lot of 37s already, and this podcast is also called there's 37s in the title of it, because this has been so prominent in my life, this number. So yeah, I need to mention that because what I want to do with this podcast is like talk about things in my life, things that I've gone through. And I'm going to do this introduction now and touch on some of these things. But then on next episodes, I will be going further into these aspects. Um, because there's so many layers in there, and I know for sure that there are people out there that will feel resonate with it, or that will find courage through that, or find self-love. um, yeah, there's so much underneath there, underneath these stories that I'm gonna tell from my life experiences. That, yeah, that's what I want to like. I want to connect with people who have something in common with me. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who grew up with a mother struggling and a dad absent, in which way, form, or uh, how do you, well, there is this expression, I forgot about it now, whatever. Anyway, so my 37, I really want to speak up on that already now, because I started noticing this, like it was showing up repeatedly in my life up around like about 9 years ago, maybe even 10, but could be 9 because we are in a 9 year. And um, for the people who don't know what it is, you just add all the numbers that are in this year, like 2025. So we have a 2 plus a 2 plus a 5, which is 9, which gives this year a certain flavor. And 9 is the last number of from 1 to 9 in numerology. And so we are rounding up stuff. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. I I really do believe it is about 9 years that I've been seeing this number. And there is there is one example that I want to give, which was the most insane time that I saw it, because time twitched. I was still living in Belgium with my best gay friend, uh, and we were going into the city. We lived like I'm sorry. We lived like, yeah, at the border of the city, like city center. So it was just like we walked into the city. It was like 2 minutes walk, and then we were on the main shopping street. And so we walked in, and we just walked into that street, and I think we were gonna do some shopping clothes for him. And I'm like, I need to say this. This is a side note. I am really good at that. He can confirm it. His twin sister can confirm it. They always asked my help. Well, they not always, because always is this kind of word, should we use it even? Well, they asked my help often to go and buy clothes with them, and they have different styles than me. Both of them have different styles from each other also. But I'm really good at that. I really like to do that. So if somebody wants to invite me to their shopping experience, like, contact me, please. I really like doing that. Although when you see me in my clothes, you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't expect that because my clothes are very minimalistic, and I don't know, yeah, you wouldn't expect it. But I'm really good at that and I really like it. And I go into the shop and I bring in new stuff and I like, let's combine this and this is fitting you very well. And like, and oftentimes people in the shop, like other shopping people, are like coming to me and like, "Well, could you, miss, could you help me please with finding," they ask for my advice or for my help in the shop, and I'm like, I'm not working here, but yeah, it's over there. Like giving them advice as well. It's always a funny experience. And it also, it goes fast. If you want to do it fast, like in half an hour we can have a new outfit. Like go in, take these items, go in this, I will run around and fix other things around. And yeah, that was a side note. Anyway, so we went shopping and we walked there, and I think he asked me, "Do you know what time it is?" And I pull up my phone, I click on the side button to show the time, and it's showed, I don't remember the two first numbers, maybe 11. I'm recording 11 minutes now, so let's say 11:37. And he was walking next to me. He was on the left side of me, and he looked at my, we both looked at my phone, and it said 11:37 or whatever, 37, and it jumped to 39. I am not kidding you. This was so insane because you can be like on the border of 37 jumping to 38. I understand that. Then it was still insane that I just catched that last second of the 37 minute. But no, 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 no. No, it jumped to 39. And we were both looking confused at my phone, to each other, to the phone again. We started laughing because he knew about my 37, of course. He knew about it. But this was like, it was witnessed by somebody else how insane it can show up in my life. So yeah, and then we took his phone, of course, to check what the time was, and it was 39 over there. But my phone, no, I don't know, it chose to show 37 first and then jump to over a minute. And it was so funny. We laughed so hard, and it's the best example, but there are so many other examples. Really, it is insane. Because I touched already a little bit onto that with so I was 36 in Belgium, in between jobs. My son had moved out from to my mother, to his grandmother, and I was in between jobs. My son was grown up because when I was 36, he was 21 already. And I wasn't in a relationship either. So I was like, and then um, my ex from 100 years ago, he got my dog. He, well, I had a dog. I used to have a dog. She's still alive and she's still living with him. But I was living in an apartment, and the dog wasn't happy in this jammed country, and like this little piece of grass where she needed to pee, and other dogs also pee there, and she was really like disgusted from it. She didn't like to pee there at all. And yeah, it was such a stressful situation for her, so I asked her to move, if she could move with him to Sweden, to this big property where she could live this free and happy life with wildlife around her and all of that. And so she did. She moved to Sweden, I think in 2017, maybe Christmas 2016 even. And she, yeah, I was gonna visit her and my ex. How do I call this man? Because he is my ex from it's, let me think, 12 years ago we were together, and it was long distance, and we knew we were gonna have this significant role in each other's lives. Um, and so, and then we broke up because we felt like we were better off as friends. And then, well, yeah, a few years later, my dog moved to Sweden. We kept on being in contact, and then a few years later, my dog moved to Sweden. Or maybe months later. I don't know, the timing is off. Whatever. Anyway, so I was gonna visit them. And I was 36 at the time. April 2019. And I was gonna stay for 3 weeks. And then I'm still here, so. But the decision wasn't made in that moment, like I'm gonna move to Sweden. It's a whole story that I'm gonna do another podcast about this, of course, because it's a big thing to move to another country. And it's not only sunshine and rainbows, like some people maybe think, but yeah. So, but then the decision, I made it when I was 37 years old. And then COVID happened, the pandemic happened. That could be another side story, the pandemic, because I call it pandemic. I don't know if I'm not going to go into that now, but later on maybe. It's not on my priority list. So, and then I was working already here in Sweden. I started to work almost a month after I was here. I arrived for my holidays, and then I decided, well, no, that was, wait, I need to go back. No, I'm not going back. Like, let's just keep it in here because we can make mistakes, and that's okay, and that's good to show as well. So when I was 37, I was working already in Sweden, of course, because I needed to have an income. And they asked me if I could work the whole summer, and so I did. And then after the summer holidays here in Sweden, which is week 34, they think in weeks here, they do that. It's very common. They can say like week 29, we're gonna do this, like we're gonna take, there is this festival week 29. They do that. I start to understand that a little bit, but yeah, I didn't grow up with that. So anyway, so week 34, they opened the borders. I could drive to Belgium and I could get my stuff, the last stuff, because I still had an apartment there. And it wasn't sustainable to have two places to live, like in Belgium and Sweden, and have my stuff, some of my stuff left there, because I already brought in a few of the things, a few of the items with my little van, of course. But yeah, I got the last stuff and closed everything up there, like the paperwork and stuff. And then I packed the van, and then I drove to Sweden, and it was week 37, and I realized that in that moment when I was driving back, like, it's week 37 and you're 37 years old. And that was such a funny road trip back. I laughed so much. I drove alone the whole way from Sweden down, like it was a 2 day thing, and back up it was a 2 day thing again. So yeah, 4 days on the road, and I saw insanely many 37s, like insane. So yeah, I needed to give this 37 a moment in this first introduction of myself. Um, I'm not only interested in numbers, I'm also interested in astrology, which is kind of a number thing as well. It's mathematic, and it's a whole language. I still feel like a beginner. I'm about to embark a new school, an online school that is opening now, and astrology is gonna be a part of that school. And so I'm gonna learn even more about it, and I'm very excited about that, because I really like that. I like to look at birth charts. I like to see structure in there. I like to see connections in there, aspects. Yeah, and I know a little. I know a little. So, and it's like on my Instagram feed. Feed, is that the feed? No, on my Instagram. Well, that what pops up on my screen is a lot of that is about astrology, because it's one of my main interests. Another thing that I really really enjoy is cooking. I started when I was 9 years old. Well, I started learning from my mother. She was a very good cook when we grew up. Really, really good cook. My grandfather, her father, was also a really good cook. And my grandfather parents had a restaurant also, even when they were, well, that was a very long time ago when they were together. They divorced kind of early, I guess. I don't know, maybe not so early. Well, they had a restaurant, and I grew up with a good food, and I was sitting on the countertop when my mom was cooking when I was very small, like 2, 3 years old, and asked for maybe like asking all these questions. She she got a saying from that, like, real, please go and watch this child program on television, please, because it's too much. There are too many questions. I need to concentrate. And I was asking, like, why do you do this? And why do you do that? And if you do less of this and then more of that, what's gonna do with the taste? And if you have, and why? And all of these questions. And it's a big interest. It has been a big interest for me for, yeah, since forever. Um, I'm a pretty good cook. Like, my food is delicious. And sometimes it's even that insane that I just put things together. Like, sometimes when I open my fridge, I'm like, there's nothing there. What should I cook? And then, like, maybe 50 minutes later, 50, not 15. It can be 15 also. If I do a fast pasta dish, they are very delicious. My fast pasta dishes, woo, woo, you want to have them. You want to eat them if you like food. sometimes like, and then, well, I open the fridge and there's nothing there, and then an hour later there is a 3-course meal on the table, which is restaurant quality. Like, I buy organic food, lots of organic food, not all of it because of my budget, but and I sometimes just throw things together, and with love, of course, I throw it in with love, and there's lots of love in my food. And then I don't taste it at all. I just build it up, and then let it cook, let it like blend together the tastes different kind of levels and layers, and then I take a spoon from it. I like to eat with a spoon. And it's just like, who how who who does this? Like, how do I do this? How is it even possible? And then the measurements, like for example, when I make lasagna, people who have tasted my lasagna, most of the people who taste my lasagnas are my ex-colleagues or my colleagues, because my ex-colleagues, because I make lasagna when I go when I move on from from a job. I don't know. My lasagna is really good. And when you make this bowl of spaghetti sauce and you make bechamel sauce, like, you need measure a certain amount of sauce. I don't follow a recipe. I just look at the amount of butter I put in there when I make the bechamel, and then I'm like, ah, let's take this little bit more. Then I do that, and then I like, it always turns out I have exactly the right amount of sauce, of both sauces. I don't know how I do that. It's not only with that, it's with other stuff as well. Like, I'm making an apple syrup or something, and I like to have one glass can of a certain thing, and then there's so much fruit in there in the beginning, like 2 kilos of fruit or whatever, how much. I just look at it, look at the amount. And then it turns out exactly the amount that I was aiming for. I don't know. It's a very strange thing. I'm always amazed by it. I don't understand this. I don't. And I don't need to, but it's fascinating, isn't it? It's really fascinating. So cooking, which is also mathematics, it's also numbers, like it's a little bit of this and 2 grams of that and 1.7 grams of that, and then so that it is this balanced, there is balance in my food when you eat it. I like to balance things, which is also showing in my astrology, actually, in my birth chart. So yes, that's another thing that I am about me. And then a third thing, or maybe if it's the fourth, is rituals. I like to do rituals. Like, I have a candle on now, 2 candles on, because it's the second of Advent. I really like that tradition here in Sweden, which is a lot here in Sweden. They have many traditions that I really appreciate. The Midsummer, for example, Midsummer is celebrated so big here in Sweden, but also this time of the year, like on Saturday, in 2 days from now, there's gonna be Santa Lucia, which is the Lucia celebration is, well, I can talk about that more later, but It's so beautiful. And there is this girl, she has a white dress on, and there is a whole Christian um, meaning behind that. But she walks with her lights, and she has her sisters next to her, behind her. She's like together with her sisters, not only her sisters, but yeah, I believe they're sisters. And they're walking with burning candles, like real candles, into the church, and they sing this angelic song. It's so beautiful. It touches me every single time I see them doing this. Like my eyes fill with tears because it's so, so, so beautiful. Bringing the love into, bringing light back. Because I checked the calendar here in the north, or in Scandinavia to say it like that, around the 13th of December, it is the darkest night. You know how they say, like, the winter's solstice or the December solstice, how they, it's, well, the winter solstice, I'm gonna say, because that it's the darkest, um, the longest darkness compared to the lightness here in the north. I don't know how you say that, probably. um, yeah, it's the darkest night. But actually, so on the 13th, the night stops being darker. The morning still switches in time. So it still gets darker in the morning time, but not in the evening. And so it's the darkest evening is around, well, finally I get out of my words. The darkest evening is around Santa Lucia, around the 13th. And that's where they bring in the light again. The nights get lighter again after that date. Even though the morning times still gets darker, and it needs until the 22nd, the 21st, 22nd of December before it starts getting lighter there also as well. That's one of the traditions I really like, and I'm looking so much forward to it. It's in 2 days from now. That's one of the things. I like to celebrate the full moons and the new moons. Not all of them. It's very intuitively where I'm at. Um, I have a lot of Aquarius energy, so I don't like to box myself in. I like to stand outside of the box. I still like to have the box, but I don't like to be inside of a box. And so I play with these things like full moon, new moon. There's gonna be the 12 days of Christmas, as they call it. That's not the original name, I guess. Which is between Christmas and the 6th of January. And it's 12 days, and it's for every day a sign of astrology. It's for every day 1 month of the year. Every day has a certain theme to work with, and I mean. And yeah, that's I really like these kind of things. Yeah, I think I talked about a lot of things. I brought up a lot of things, but that's like the main things that are important in my life I brought up. Um, my family, my move to Sweden, my family, even if they are not actively in my life at the moment, they are very important to me. And they maybe don't realize that, and that's okay. Well, if they will listen to this, then they will hear it now. You're very important to me, all of you. Whatever the distance is. Um, the astrology, the numerology, the cooking. And so all of these things are gonna be part of this 37. It's 37, it's 11:37 on the clock. Why didn't I start 1.5 minutes earlier? Because then I could like stop at 37 and have it at 37 minutes. Oh my. Well, yeah, I didn't. I'm gonna keep it at 37 minutes every time, every episode, so it doesn't get too long, but also not too short, because I want to be able to talk about stuff, the stuff that I brought up, like astrology, numerology. I'm a real number nerd, or really I am. Cooking, maybe I'm gonna share some recipes, things that I really like. Share about rituals I do. I'm definitely gonna talk about my childhood and how it was to grow up in this difficult situation, and how I turn it into something good. My pregnancy story is already on Instagram. You can listen it there, but the whole thing with my son, immigrating to another country, the pandemic is something, the Belgian culture versus the Swedish one, immigrating to a new country, doing everything in the new language. There are a lot of topics in here that I want to dive deeper into. I'm looking forward to it. My plan is to do it every month, one episode. But let's see how that evolves. And I don't want to I like to stand outside of the box, so because that's very much who I am. Thank you for listening to this first episode of my second trial on a podcast. The other one was 7 episodes already, but I deleted all of them because, yeah, I want to start over. And I want to show you that you can always start over. There's always a moment to start over. Thank you for listening, and I hope to welcome you back next time. Bye. Much love.